Welcome. In this session, we will talk about hydrogeological cycle and water as a universal solvent. Now, water is one of the most important material found on Earth. It is believed that if there would be a third or a fourth world war, it could be probably on water or water-related issues, and therefore the use and the application of water we can consider as unlimited. Now, the most important thing is the distribution of the fresh water, which is usable for the various activities including the potable water, is very meager in contrast to the total water availability, because the total water availability includes the saline water as well, and what we need to focus is on the freshwater reservoirs, right? So we'll go on to the ratio and all these details later in this section, but first, to begin with, let's start with the hydrogeological cycle. So hydrogeological cycle is nothing but movement of the water from the earth's surface, and from the earth's surface it is in what ways? It is through the means of evapotranspiration. So evapotranspiration is made up of two words: evaporation plus transpiration. So transpiration occurs from the plant bodies and evaporation occurs from the oceans, lakes and the water bodies. Now this evapotranspiration brings the water into the atmosphere, and in the atmosphere, on the small dust particles, this water coalesce or actually condense, and this forms what? This forms what is called as the clouds. Now when the cloud is formed, when they are unable to hold themselves against gravity, what would happen? They would ultimately condense and there would be precipitation. Now this precipitation is not just in the form of rainfall. Very important to understand. Students usually confuse precipitation with rainfall. Precipitation is not rainfall, but rainfall is a type of precipitation, as simple as that. So precipitation is a superset under which you have rain, snow, hail, fog. So all these would come under various forms of precipitation. Now this precipitation ultimately brings the water back to the earth, and this, through the process of runoff, through the process of infiltration, goes back to the ocean bodies, and this is the ultimate complete hydrogeological cycle that we understand. Now what are the most important constituents of, or we could say, the reservoirs of water? Now reservoirs of water, the most important ones among them are oceans, lakes, rivers, then you have glaciers, very essential, soil, because you have the groundwater table, and then snowfields. Also, it's important to note that water at a given point of time could be present as solid, liquid or gas in all of these three forms. So in this whole hydrogeological cycle, we would say that water can be present either as solid, either as liquid or in the gaseous form, and it involves series of processes. What are those? As we mentioned, evaporation, condensation, precipitation, interception, infiltration, percolation, transpiration, storage and runoff. So let's move on to each of these terms one by one. The first term that we would talk about is evaporation. Only just the evaporation, not the part of transpiration, right? So evaporation is nothing but a change in the state from liquid to gaseous state or the vapor state. Now, why this evaporation takes place? There are various factors which affect the process of evaporation. This could be the solar radiations, this can be temperature, vapor pressure, wind, atmospheric pressure. All of these affect evaporation. Also, one very important thing, let's say I have two bowls. One is a bowl which has a narrow opening, the other has a wide opening. Now when the sun rays fall and both of them have equal amount of water, equal volume of water, the one which has a larger base would have higher rate of evaporation. Why? Because the surface area is more. So surface area is another important aspect that you need to understand in this case. So this way we understand that evaporation is affected by surface area and also by the amount of water. If there is huge amount of water, it would take a while to evaporate. If it is little water, it would evaporate relatively quicker. So that was evaporation. The next is the process of condensation. So condensation which is we have seen in the process of the formation of clouds. So again, the gaseous state changes to the liquid state, as simple as that, and they condense around to form the clouds. Now, the process of cloud formation we have covered in one of our separate classes. There are various theories related to cloud formation. Birch's theory is one of the important theory, but the idea is condensation occurs only when the water vapor bears the cool air and the amount of water pressure in the water vapor in the air actually reaches the saturation point. So once the saturation point is reached, at that time the process of condensation would take place. The next is precipitation. I already discussed what is precipitation. Just to come back again, it could be in various forms: rain, freezing rain, hail, snow, sleet, all of these, which would lead to ultimately bringing water back to the surface of earth. So the simple idea is water should come back to the surface of earth in one form or the other, and this is nothing but what is called as precipitation. The next is percolation. What is percolation? Percolation is movement of water through the pores. So when the water is falling on the ground, I take a simple example. I demonstrate it with the help of, let's say, small balls which are present here. Now let's say our earth's surface is made up of soil which has these small balls, right? So each soil particle, enlarge that, consider that as a big ball. What would happen when the rainwater comes in between there are gaps, right? And the water would actually move down these gaps, and this is what is called as the process of percolation. So percolation occurs because of two factors. What are those two factors? One is gravity, the other is the capillary force. Both of them are responsible for bringing the water down, and this is primarily due to the force of gravity. So the important process that we have understood here is the process of percolation. The next is the process of transpiration. Now, why is transpiration important? Now, transpiration is the evaporation only, but that occurs from the leaves of the plant, right? Since it occurs from the leaf of the plant, what would happen? The moisture which is carried through the plant, how? From the roots of the plant. So from the roots of the plant, the moisture which is carried to the plants would ultimately evaporate, and this would be released into the atmosphere through the process of transpiration. So these are some of the important aspects. And then infiltration is movement down the soil, runoff is movement along the soil, and so these are some of the important terms that we have understood. But one of the important constituents of hydrogeological cycle is definitely the solar energy, because ultimately because of the solar energy you have changes in the forms. So